And this way we're facing
Chicken tea. I know.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming out to our rally for the future of public education. Obviously, you here feel very strongly about public education and the future of it and the fact that we need to protect it. And I just want to recognize CUPE and all of the CUPE members that are here that have come out in support of us. We can't do this without CUPE. Thank you. Just curious, do we have any other unions represented out here in the crowd? Any other unions? Who we got? Steelworkers? Yeah. Thank you. All right. And we got nurses. Excellent. Nurses, thank you for coming. Any other unions out here? Anybody here doesn't work in a union? Thank you for coming. Awesome. We need you. We need the public support out here. That is great. My name is Norm Savern. For anybody that doesn't know me, I'm the president of the Boundary District Teachers Association. And I want to say that I am a very proud president because I've got some outstanding teachers that I get to represent. And they are working incredibly hard in classrooms. They care deeply about students. They care deeply about the public ed system. And what they're doing now is standing up for it. So I would like all teachers, find another teacher, give them a pat on the back. You guys are awesome. You can give hugs if you want. Sure, okay, yeah. Okay, so today, this is a fairly, I wouldn't call it, it's not heavily organized in terms of a speaker's order. It's going to be more of an open mic. I've got a couple of people I know want to speak, and we're going to scatter this out for about an hour. And I'm hoping that anybody, whether you are in the BDTA, CUPE, or you're a community member, if you want to speak from the heart, you will be given the opportunity. If you care about public education and the system that we're dealing with right now, I'd love to hear from you. I just want to mention that BC, as I think you all know, has one of the best education systems in the world. It absolutely does. The scary thing about it is we have a Liberal government that is systematically dismantling it, chronically underfunding it, not giving teachers the tools to get the job done. And amazingly, teachers get the job done. We do more for less every year, and it is through sheer determination and absolute caring nature that you make sure your kids get what they need. And the government doesn't care. Shame on them. In 2001, the Liberal government was elected, and we had, I'm sure many teachers sort of looked at it and thought, uh-oh, here it comes, but nobody knew the lengths of what the Liberals were going to do here. In 2002, they stripped our collective agreement of class size and composition language that kept classes small, had limited numbers of special needs students in each class, had learning specialist teachers like counselors, librarians, special ed, LA teachers. We had ratios of those teachers in the schools. That was all ripped out. Class sizes over the last 12 years have grown, and in the last 5 years especially, you that are in the trenches, teachers and support staff, you know how difficult the classrooms are getting now. We have more kids. We have way more difficult kids. We have kids that actually are special needs. Those numbers of students are growing rapidly. But more importantly, more teachers that I talk to talk about the gray area kids. And those are the kids that struggle very much academically, get no actual funding, and they're the ones that we desperately try to avoid letting fall through the cracks. And teachers, I hand it to every one of you for grabbing them by the collars and pulling them up before they fall through the cracks. But some are still slipping. We need proper funding. The result of that 2002 contract stripping meant 3,500 teachers fewer in the system. That is a travesty. That means there are far more students not getting as much one-on-one attention from their classroom teacher, and the schools are a much more difficult place to be because the funding is not there. If you look at the teachers' loss, that turns out to be about $300 million a year of lost funding to schools. That is what the government stole from our kids in our schools. It's terrible. Our provincial government, you look at education funding, and there is a per student rate that is given to school districts. Our province is the second worst in the country for the student funding. If we look at the national average, BC students in schools receive $1,000 less than the national average. If we had $1,000 for every student in the system, we'd be looking at probably about $2 or $3 billion. It is a shame. It is just terrible what they're doing. So all of that reduced funding is a result of corporate tax and the 1% tax that has been cut. So the government has come up with a new tax revenue scheme that reduces the amount of taxes coming in. Corporations get massive tax cuts. The rich get massive tax cuts. We've got lower income tax rates and sales tax rates, and that means there's less revenue. The government comes after education. And they choose to pander to their rich buddies. They are looking to set themselves up after their term in office. They're set. Everybody else isn't. And it's the students of BC that are losing out, and that has a massive effect on our entire economy and society years to come. Now, despite the government's spin on highest funding ever, that is really quite a joke, there are schools being closed every year. We have increased class size, more and more special needs students in the classroom. We have teachers constantly doing more for less. I know I'm repeating, sorry. And less time for students. The end result of this is students are hurting, teachers are hurting. And I'm going to leave it up to some individual teachers to come to the mic and talk about the stress that this puts on them, on the system. And I am leaving this open now, and I'm going to ask Deb Klockenbrink to come up next. Thank you.
Norm stole my speech. I had my kids present a social studies project yesterday, and they said, "Oh, I'm nervous." And I said, "Oh, it's nothing. I'm nervous." So we're here today in support of public education. And Norm asked if anyone wanted to speak at the rally today, and I raised my hand. And then I started wondering, what did I get myself into? If you could hear the buzzing in my brain, you'd definitely think schizophrenia. There are so many issues. I'm going to try to limit myself to 3 main points that I want to make. First, I want to tell you about my class. I have 20 students in my class, so class size isn't an issue. But I have to say, when I had 16, I had more one-on-one time with the students. And when I have 24, it cuts into that even more. So class size does make a difference, Peter. I hope you're listening. Of those 20 students, I have 2 who have a formal IEP, so 10% of the class. Both of them have a designation that gives them EA assistance time of 0.5. 0.5 and 0.5 equals 1. So you think I would have a full-time CEA in the classroom? No. The CEA, and she's here and I love her, is also assigned to work in another classroom for 0.5 of her day. And because CEAs cover each other for their lunches and their breaks, her lunch sometimes extends into our regular class time. So in actuality, she's working with my students for 0.45, 0.48, I didn't do the math, but you know, it's less than 0.5 of the day. Now I have to be honest, she doesn't work with just these 2 students exclusively. She helps another category of kids, those ones I affectionately call the gray area kids that Norm talked about. These are the kids who haven't got an IEP, haven't got a formal one, or either going through the process, or, they never will. They just need extra help. To work their way through the process of getting an IEP can take 2 to 3 years. So if they start kindergarten and we know they need some help, they might have it by the time they're in grade 2 or grade 3. That's too late. We need to get to these kids much, much earlier. I call them 4 gray area kids. They need a little extra help. They need help with reading. They need help with writing. They have made phenomenal growth this year. It's amazing. I'm so proud of them. But you know what? They're not at grade level yet. I have one who's almost there. He's about half a year away. I have 2 that are a full year away from their grade level, and they're going into the next grade now. And I have one who's 2 years behind. She's going into grade 4. How is this child going to cope with the social studies and the science texts that are now going to be introduced into her class? I know I'm really worried about her. So between my CEA and myself, we try to give the students as much help as they can to successfully accomplish the tasks. But sometimes by the time I even get to one of them, I have 2 kids that are yelling, "I'm done, what do I do now?" And, you try to have work for them, you try to stay on top, but, we're human, we can't always. So they're shouting, "I'm finished." I'm still trying to, work with these students that need some help. And then I have the one who, can do the work, but just doesn't bother. So I have to go stand beside him and make sure, okay, get your pencil out. Okay, let's do question 1. Okay, let's do question 2. And then I have the one that's having a tantrum in the corner because I'm helping this student and not him. And so he's broken his pencil in half and he's ripped up his paper and, it's not going to do it. And then I have the one who's crying in the other corner because, I don't know, she had a fight with her brother on the way to school or something. It's hard. It's hard. You guys know that. You're in classrooms too, and you know how hard it is. So 2 who have IEPs, 4 who are gray area, 2 who need enrichment classes, and we don't have such a thing in our school. Well, at my level anyways. That'd be great if we had something like that. And we're trying to cope. And then as I was writing this, I had another thought. I thought, why do we have to have our kids who need help go through a formal designation? We know they need help. Our special ed teachers and our LA teachers are spending so much time filling out form work, for government bureaucracy. We need them to be working with the students. We need them to be working with our children and helping them, not filling out a form that maybe some year they'll get some help. It's not working. The longer it takes to get a child help, the more difficult it becomes as they grow through school. I mentioned I have one going into grade 4. I don't know how she's going to do. I honestly don't know. And she's not on an IEP. So I don't know where we're going to get the help for her. So, when I go on the internet, which I've been doing an awful lot lately, or I listen to Clark and Fassbender saying there's no money to be put into public education, I have to tell them, well, where is the money? There's no money because you have made fiscal choices. They have squandered our money by putting it into generous funds for private business. And they're doing it at the expense of public services, at the expense of public schools, at the expense of our hospitals and our healthcare system, at the expense of proper road work. If I thought about it, I could list more, but my brain is kind of fuzzy right now. They've also chosen to reduce the corporate tax levels to amongst the lowest in the world. We're the richest among the richest nations in the world, and we have the lowest corporate tax rate. Corporations need our natural resources. they're not going to go somewhere else. So why are we taxing? Why are we giving them tax breaks? I don't understand. Billions and billions of dollars in tax breaks. Has it helped us here in Grand Forks? Has it helped us in Greenwood, Midway, Beaverdale, Rock Creek? Where is that money? I sure haven't seen it coming into our neighborhood. So, you know, Christy, if that's what your corporate tax breaks are about, then let's spread it out. Let's spread it out. My last point that I want to make is that we need support. We need support from everyone. I think I missed a page. Hang on.
Something on the ground.
No, that's okay. Okay. No, hang on. I missed two pages. Because not only have they reduced corporate tax rates, they have reduced royalties that are paid on the extraction of our natural resources. So in 2005 and 2006, from 2005 and 2000 to 2012-13, natural gas production has increased by 22.5%, from 55 million cubic meters to 68 million cubic meters. In the same period of time, 7 years, natural gas royalties, that's the money that the corporations would pay to us, the public, have decreased by 80%. They went from $3,360 million to $677 million. So when Christy Clark and Peter Fassbender say, there's no money, yeah, you've given it away. That's why there's no money. Get it back. Get it back for us. Sorry?
As taxpayers, we're still paying what we paid when our contract was ripped up.
Yeah, our taxes haven't gone down. Yeah, we got a $200 break, wasn't that nice? Do you guys remember how you spent it? I don't. On MSP premiums, yeah, probably. So my third point is that we need to work together to protect and uphold public education and our public services. And I've been using this analogy lately of a chair or a stool. A chair with one leg will topple over. It won't support anyone. On two legs you might be able to balance, but it'll be pretty wobbly and you'll have to work at not falling down. A chair with three legs is getting better, but it's not solid. And a chair that has support from four legs is stable, solid, and reliable. We are the legs, and we need support from all our education partners, from the AOs, from the trustees, from the superintendent. And I don't see any of them here, but you know, I have to say, when all I hear from them is silence, I have to wonder, do they then think that the government is right and we don't need support? Is that what they're saying by their silence? Because I sure don't see that in my classroom. And until they start speaking up and saying, you know what, schools need more help, we need to put more money into education. You know, they're one leg of the stool. It's never going to be solid until they start saying it. We have our support from our QP members in our classroom and out here on the line, and I really want to thank you for that, for supporting us and for coming out. We've had amazing support from our parents coming out and saying, and even general members of the public, we've had amazing support from them also. But I'm going to ask you to please write your MLA. Contact Linda Larson, she represents Boundary-Similkameen. Contact Peter Fassbender, Minister of Education. Contact Christy Clark. And you know who she is. And Teresa Rosanza, yeah. You know, it's about making the right choice, and it's time for them to make the right choice. They need to be fiscally responsible to the citizens of British Columbia and make sure that we get our proper funding for our public services and stop giving away our money to corporations and to businesses. So please support us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Deb. Well, I didn't know if you gave her a mic, she could go that long. Wow, well done. Wow. Right now, I'd like to bring up I'll bring up Janet Thorpe for CUPE. one of our, QP is our best partner, and Janet's got a few words.
Thank you. Once again, members of Local 2098 and all K-12 workers across the province stand strongly with teachers in support of public education. We support teachers in their endeavor to achieve a fair collective agreement which improves learning conditions in classrooms and fairly compensates teachers. Class size and composition demographics, which are good for all students, were achieved through bargaining years ago and then illegally removed by the government. Composition and class size limits optimize learning for all kids in the classroom and are based on educational research. QP members defend public education. We have children and grandchildren, nieces and nephews in schools. We have partners, brothers, sisters, daughters, and sons who are teachers. Our kids are our greatest resource and our greatest responsibility. We are obliged to provide the best classroom learning conditions for them. Let's send a strong message to this government to bargain fairly with the teachers. Our kids are worth it. Our teachers deserve it. I support teachers, and I demand that my government does too.
Very strong words, but very fitting. Thank you. So now I'm going to make it kind of an open mic situation. If you want to speak from the heart, just put your hand up and I'll bring you up. Dave, you wanted to come up? Awesome.
Yeah, you guys remember me from yesterday? This is going to be longer. Okay, wrote a few words here. So, if anybody knows the challenges of the diverse class, it would be my mother. She worked as a school psychologist for 20 years in Victoria, assessing and reporting on hundreds of learning disabled and behaviorally challenged students. Although she's retired now, she recently sent me an email outlining a letter that she sent to our minister, Fact Bender, expressing her frustrations and disappointment with the current actions of the government. "Hi David," she said. "I just sent this zinger off. I'm so annoyed by all this. XOXO, Mom." Dear Mr. Fastbender, sorry, can't help it. On Thursday, May 15th, you and I attended the Black and Gold dinner at the Officers' Mess located in the Naden Naval Base in Esquimalt. The dinner celebrated the 100-year anniversary of the building of the present-day Victoria High School. I'm not sure whether or not you stayed to hear the 4 honorees talk about their time at Victoria High School, but each one mentioned the importance of their teachers in helping them discover their paths in life. I'm certain that both you and Premier Clark do not need a reminder about the importance of education in the lives of young people and to our society. When you and I went to school, our classrooms were simpler. Many students that we nowadays identify as special needs were shunted into special classes or even special schools. This is not the present day situation, thank goodness, but it does make the task of teaching a lot more complex and demanding than it was. It requires more time and planning to accommodate the special needs of students while meeting the needs of the rest of the students in the integrated classroom. Having fewer students in these classes is a step in the right direction to do the job. I believe the courts have indicated by their recent decisions that this is not an unreasonable assumption to discuss when bargaining working conditions. Please don't bully about this matter. Teachers are professionals and doing an important and extremely difficult and skilled job. Don't treat them with such disrespect and don't disregard court decisions. Our biggest assets and resources have to be our children. Quit bullying teachers. Get serious about what negotiation means, and take your medicine about reasonable compensation and conditions for those that are working so hard for the benefit of our children. In some years to come, Mr. Fassbender, another celebratory dinner about another inclusive and excellent public high school will take place. At this dinner, people of a range of achievements will again be lauding not only their own achievements, but the critical role that their teachers played in forming their future. Negotiate with teachers fairly, justly, respectfully, and immediately. Do not be swayed by party politics and party ideologues in your ministry. Stop this incredible posturing and shameful disrespect of a group of employees tasked with a job of educating our future citizens. By the way, I'm not a teacher. Part of my education was in private school, but increasingly I've grown to appreciate the superior value of public education in our society. Maxine Charlesworth, and she CC'd that to Christy Clark as well. I believe that a negotiated settlement is possible. Teachers want to end this year on a positive note, and I'm hoping this happens by good faith bargaining at the negotiating table this weekend. Oh, lost my note here. Just a second here. Teachers are right to stand up for a fair deal, which sees a reasonable wage offer and better learning conditions for our students. I hope that all of you, like me, will take the words of my mother as a message of encouragement that we're standing up for something important for all of British Columbia, a properly funded public education system. Thank you.
Well done, Dave. I just want to reiterate something Dave just touched on, and we're talking about a collective agreement. If any of you saw Jim Eicher, our president's press conference Wednesday morning, in that press conference, half-hour press conference, I think it was at least a dozen times, he talked about the fact that the plan was to have a deal by the end of the weekend and avert a full walkout next week. So that is the plan. You know, there are school districts all over the province that are assuming, you know, yesterday or today is the last day of school this year. I don't say that, and I know nobody in the BCTF is saying that. We want a fair deal, and I know our BCTF bargainers are there to get it done. It comes down to the fact, will the government play fair? They haven't for 12 years. Will they this weekend? We'll see. The BCTF is going to be bringing forth a revised bargaining package that is much more fair, and the government had better listen and avert a strike. We want to be in the classrooms. We want to be working with our kids. We don't want to have missed the last day of school in 2 weeks. So we are there. So just let you know, we are going for it. We want it to happen. Other speakers from the heart, come on up.
Hi everybody. Some of you guys know me. If you don't, that's too bad for you. I just want to say really quickly, I've been working as a child and youth care worker, first at the high school here, and then for the last 6 months up at Hutton, and it's been about 8 months total. I was fully in support of teachers and teachers' right to bargain on what is not only a learning environment issue for our kids, but obviously a working conditions issue for teachers. So it's just a no-brainer. It makes sense. It's class size, it's composition. It's on the it should be on the bargaining table. And of course, the Supreme Court of BC agrees. If I wasn't, for whatever reason I was obviously, but if I wasn't in support of teachers before I started working in the schools, I absolutely would be, by what I've seen, what I've worked with, and what I've been a part of for the last 8 months. I have seen not only the incredible need. Schools look a lot different today than what I remember as a kid. There is so much need in the classroom. There's so many kids who need extra support, who I've seen and watched and helped succeed when they get a little bit extra support. But not only that, I've witnessed teachers and support staff and administrators and the whole school team working so hard and so passionately to try to help all these kids. And I can only imagine, what could we do if we had a little bit more support, if we had, you know, a little bit more funding to take care of these issues, to have proper and reasonably negotiated class sizes and class composition and support for all these kids, because it's not just support for those kids with special needs or with behavioral needs, it's support for all kids in the classrooms. And I stand here today with the teachers. I'm proud to be your colleague and to have been able to work with you and to learn that much more about this issue over the last several months. And I want us all to just give a hand to our great teachers who are working so hard and so passionately for our kids. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The mic is open. I know there's some people that are feeling it. Do you dare come up? We'll support you. Come on up. All right.
Hi, everybody. I had to write it down. First of all, my name is Kirsten Nicholson, and I am very proud to be a teacher. So there have been a lot of letters written by teachers throughout this about what class size and composition means and what things look like in our classrooms. And I kept thinking I would write one of those because I always write letters. My students know, we call them angry letters, and every time I complain about something, they go, "You should write a letter, Ms. Nicholson." So I thought I would, but I didn't. I haven't. And I kept thinking for the last couple of weeks, why haven't I written a letter? Like, I haven't written to Christy Clark, I haven't talked to our friends Peter and Peter. Like, why haven't I written a letter? And then I realized, I'm exhausted. I am so tired. Are you guys tired? I'm tired from stretching myself over the cracks in the system to try to help my kids be successful. I'm tired of giving and giving and giving of myself and still feeling like it's not enough to make up for what's going on. I'm tired from carrying the weight of BC's future on my shoulders with you guys. My back is broken and my heart is broken, so I can't write. It's time for the government to step up and step in and help us carry the burden and cover those cracks. Then I can stop being exhausted, we can stop being exhausted, and we can get back to teaching and our kids can get back to learning. I look forward to the day when, filled with energy, I can sit down and I can write the story of when BC put the children first and invested in the future. Thanks.
If any of you haven't seen a letter that she's written, she really can write. She's awesome. All right, Susan, here you go.
Thanks, Norm. I think most of you know me. If you don't, good morning. My name is Susan Blair. I am General Vice President for QPBC. So I bring greetings from President Mark Hancock and Secretary Treasurer Paul Farrow, as well the Executive Board, and 85,000 CUPE members in BC. There are 27,000 K-12 workers in our province, and we stand in support and in solidarity with you. And I don't speak from the heart, I speak from the paper. I'd like to reaffirm our message that CUPE stands in solidarity with teachers and with your struggle to achieve a fair and reasonable contract that respects your role and improves classroom conditions for all of our kids. CUPE honors picket lines of other unions. Our members won't cross picket lines, and they're prepared to make that sacrifice to support teachers, just as teachers have supported us in previous disputes that we've had with governments during difficult rounds of bargaining for ourselves. We continue to support the BCTF in its efforts to get the best possible agreement for its members and its efforts to pressure the provincial government into providing stable and appropriate levels of funding for education. Just as you have been at our side as we have fought for public education, we will continue to stand with you. Thank you.
You know, I'd like to say that CUPE has always been there for us. And in my teaching career, I don't recall ever supporting a CUPE picket line because they haven't had them, but they've been there for us. They have taken the loss of pay, and we owe them a great, debt of gratitude for all they've done for us. I know there's people out there that have something, it's brewing, I know. You want to come up and speak? Really? Or are you just so cold you want to get out of here? Last chance? Nobody? Oh, here. We have a retired teacher. Oh, okay, 2 retired teachers can fight over the mic. Harry, here you go.
Thanks, Norm.
I'll join you.
All right. I have one.
Because I'm retired too.
This is our alma mater here, Yvonne's and mine. Oh, yes. I'm a retired teacher. I taught most of my life right here. And probably I can see some of you used to be my students. Anyway, something that you all should know. When our lovely government got into power, they immediately start to download all kinds of benefits onto everyone, including you, the working people, including retirees like myself. One of them was the Medical Services Association, an outfit that was transported to the good old United States, the Pacific Blue Cross. Guess who's making a lot of money? Unbeknownst to most people, MSA is funded basically from all of us. And British Columbians are the only ones in Canada that have to pay that premium. The only province in Canada. Thanks to Mr. Campbell and his Reaganite, Thatcherite downloading of services onto working people. This to me is unconscionable. The money that they give to the corporations and their fat cat benefactors is unconscionable. Christine said she is tired. I know where she's coming from. But I'm sick and tired of this government. Thank you.
Where'd Yvonne go? All right.
Hi there, Yvonne Konar, former teacher here at Perley. Former teacher, yeah. I taught here for 33 years, and I retired at spring break, as you well know. Just came back from a glorious holiday. And I'm here just because, regardless of the fact that I'm retired, which is really hard to wrap my head around, still, I'm freezing here after being away for so long. But I am a teacher. I will be a teacher for the rest of my life. And I'm proud to have been a teacher for so long, and in this district for so long, to be your colleagues for so long. And even though there may not be very many retirees here, although I do look around and see quite a few, it's not because we don't want to be here. It's just because we're living life now in a different way. And that doesn't mean we're not thinking about you, wanting to stand on the line with you. And we support you and always will support you, because we are part of you as well, your union. And good luck. We're all, hoping that this is going to end in a positive way. And if not, we'll just be here again and trying to battle as we have for 50, 75 years for what we believe in. Keep at her, and we're here to support you.
Yeah, it's me again. So something Yvonne said twigged something in me. She says she's living life a different way. And so I've been writing, where's Kirsten? I've been writing this letter for a while, and I haven't sent it yet either, but I'm going to say it to you guys. So I want to thank Christy and the Peters. I want to thank them for giving me my mornings back. You know what? The 45-minute bookends on either side of our school time means that I get to have that extra cup of coffee in the morning. I get to sit down and read my internet mail. I get to, when I have TV, I get to watch TV. yesterday morning I read a book for an hour before coming to school. So thank you, Christy and Peter. You allowed me to do that. Thank you for changing my life after school, because now when I walk home at 4 o'clock, I'm not thinking about what I'm doing. I'm sorry, I'm not looking for that enrichment for my students. I'm enjoying life. I'm going out for a walk. I can go to the pool. I can go visit with my parents. I can play a game. I can do whatever I want, and I can continue reading that book. So thank you, Christy and Peters. You have allowed me to do that. Thank you for giving me my weekends back. Just think, after this, folks, we get to go home and do whatever we want, and we don't have to think about anything related to school. So thank you, Christy and Peter, for allowing me to do that.
We know that she really wants to be a full teacher again and not have all those thank yous, but yeah, fringe benefits, you take it where you can get it. Anybody else like to say some words? Oh, excellent. Laura.
He knows I hate this kind of thing, but I hate injustice even more. So I'm just going to read a letter I wrote. Literally, when the LRB ruling came down, I sat down and started writing, because I couldn't believe that the thought existed that 10% of our income came from lunchtime and before and after school within 45 minutes. I was astounded and disheartened. So, here we go. I'm shaking from, well, partly nerves, but mostly cold. It's so cold I'm going to be quick. I had a very insightful teacher tell me in high school to become a lawyer. Admittedly, I do like to talk. I do like to debate. I like to have my voice heard, but it wasn't so much that he felt it was my calling, as much as he didn't want me to pursue the path I was committed to taking, which is a path a lot of you have committed to, and that's teaching. For the first time, I understand why. This isn't really a woe is me or woe is us letter, but it is a woe at the state of our government and our province. I grew up actually with a logger dad. He was very anti-union. There is no positive union sentiment in our home, but over the years he's come to respect our profession because he's seen the hard work and dedication from a personal and family place. I do have the good fortune. One of the things I feel lucky for every day is to work with the people that I work with, whether it's support staff, whether it's our secretaries, our AOs, teaching colleagues, EAs. I feel lucky every day to have really be a part of such a big team, an important team in this province. So I do understand that a lot of you go above and beyond every day in your workday. And I don't blame the public or even the government for the lack of understanding of the extra hours that go in, because I don't know how they would know unless they have a connection, a family, a friend, somebody in it, or unless they're willing to hear our stories. I guess most upsetting for me has been the idea that we're money hungry, that we're lazy, that we're incompetent. I know that that's not the norm, but those are some things that I've heard on the internet, and actually from people driving by. Some of you know about that altercation, let's not talk about it. It really galls me, because I know the reality is teachers sacrifice their own family time in providing the best learning experience possible for students. As an English teacher and any other teacher really, the marking, the time invested in prep, that's not within our workday. It's not possible to get it done. It comes from somewhere else. I recently moved back to the high school, moved back into teaching English, and now my own kids, really, they sit down at night and they're wondering, where's the time for us? Because as you know, that time goes to marking, it goes to the kids you're teaching. So it's not only that we're sacrificing our time, we're sacrificing our families in a very real way. So the other thing that I talked in this letter about, and some of you have read it, was just the idea that I don't think a lot of people know that when we're sick, we still kind of have to do our job. We have to plan an entire day. Even if we're hugging that porcelain bowl, somehow you have to scratch out notes for the person who's stepping in. It can be hours and hours at a time. You can have pneumonia, it doesn't matter. It's not like when you're gone, something just magically happens and your day appears. And that's a real investment in time. I think a lot of people don't know that. So like most of you, I didn't enter the profession because of the money or the time off. I did want to make a difference. I do want to make a difference. I recognize that a lot of people have sacrificed before I came along to make a difference in my education and my future. So I'm not reading this whole letter because it's been posted, but I do just really want to say, when the government says, well, and not just the government, but members of our province say things could be worse, go teach somewhere else. Things could always be worse. I say things could be better. So this weekend and in the week to come, I don't just want it to be entertained, I want it to be believed. And that's the idea that things could be better and should be better. And that fostering an environment that recognizes the value in education and educators while addressing significant issues like class size and composition would be a start. So, let this not be the era that marks the end of what has been historically an education system worth modeling after. Instead, let it be the beginning of an even better model, one that students, parents, and members of the education profession can be proud of. So I have my fingers crossed. Let's hope this weekend proves like it can be one that we can be proud of and remember.
Well done. Wow. Any others would like to come up and speak? We've got a few more minutes still. I know it's cold. I just want to check. There have been some people coming and going. Have we encountered any other union members other than nurses, steelworkers, QP, and BDTA? Any other new ones? XIWA. XIWA. All right. There we go. And I've heard stories. This guy was quite a union activist in his day. Nicely done. Anybody else like to come up? Okay, everybody, I would like to just, again, thank you for coming out in the cold. Thank God that the moisture stayed up there. But thank you for being here. Great show of support. A great show of supporting public education now and in the future. I hope that you guys will just mingle, talk to each other, tell stories. Find a teacher if you're not one. Talk to a teacher. Talk to a support staff. Talk to people. Find out what's going on. And even beyond today, ask questions, talk, find out what's going on in schools. We have great schools, but as Laura aptly put, they need to get better. So thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Are you going to put it?